Welcome to CC Fashion. In this video, you're going to learn how to draft this beautiful safari suit sleeve. In my previous video, you must have learned how to draft the bodies and how to sew the safari suit. Please check the description box. You see the link to these videos. Let's move right into it. To start with, I have my pattern paper and my measurements ready. So all you need to do is to use the bodies. That is the one that you drafted. As I said, if you did not see how to draft this, check the videos, you see how to draft this. Measure the armhole circumference just as you can see, and do not include the side seam allowance. Then take it over to the other panel and continue the measurement until you measure the whole armhole, just as you can see. After measurement, take note of what you have and add 1 inch for each allowance. Mine is 22 inches plus 1. I have 23 inches, so that's what I'm taking for the armhole circumference. So I'll go ahead and mark 2 inches for my cap's height, 7.5 for the armhole depth, and 13 inches for elbow points. Then the sleeve length is 23.5. Then I'll add ½ inch to make it 24, and my hemming allowance of 2 inches, which is 26. Repeating the same thing on 2 points to have good straight lines. So after marking those points, I'll go ahead and connect my markings to form straight lines across. That is my cap's height and my armhole depth. Then I have my elbow length and the full length plus 2 inches for my hemming allowance. So after marking out those lines, the next thing I want to show you is how to get your armhole depth. Just place your tape the way you see and take note of the point. That is how I got my armhole depth. Then when you are done with that, you go ahead and mark your bicep. That's my bicep is 14.5 inches, so I will go ahead and add 2.5 inches to give me 17 inches. The 2.5 inches there serves as my joining allowance for the whole sleeve. So I'm going to mark the 17 inches all together from the upper part of the paper down to the end. Sorry that the camera did not capture the other side of it. Just take note of that I am marking 17 inches from up to down part of the paper. So to have the smaller part of my sleeve, I'll go ahead and subtract 1.5 inches away from that 17 inches, and that will give me 15.5 inches. Then I will divide it into 2, and that will give me 7.75. So from that 7.75, that's what I'm going to mark in the other side, starting from the other end of the line. I'll mark 7.75 inches, and that will be the space that I'm going to use in constructing the smaller part of my sleeve. So this is the bigger side, while this is the small side of the sleeve. Remember, the under sleeve is always the smaller size. So from the bigger end of it, what I'll do there is to take note of what I have as the length and divide it into 2. Then I'll also divide it on the armhole. Remember, from the upper part of it, I'm now dividing it into 2, just as you can see. Then on the top part of it, I'm just going to slant the line from that upper part of it, passing through the center part to the other end. So you can see I'm just slanting it like this. Then you go to that armhole depth and subtract ½ inch from that end, ½ inch. Then you're going to mark a straight line from that ½ inch. You can go ahead and subtract ¾ inch. So just mark straight line to the top part, just as you can see. Then divide that line into 2 and extend it forward by 0.75. because from that point is where we are going to curve it out. Now take note of how I am placing the curve ruler. I'm going to curve it to meet that point at first. Then the next thing that I'm going to do is going to this other end. I'll subtract ½ inch, and as I'm indicating, I'll also go ahead to mark out half of an inch on this point. Then I will still cuff it to meet the tip part of it. That's where I'm forming my sleeve cap's height. Remember, the cap's height must blend very well, so that's what I did. Then on this other end, I'll just go ahead and draw straight to hit the point, and on the down part of it you form a kind of S shape. Take note of this. This is very different from how you draft your normal suit sleeve. Remember, in any blazer that you have, normal regular blazer, the chest part of it is always open, so this will enable your client to feel free rocking something very fitted. But when it comes to this safari suit, it is different because what you wear is going to be close. As such, you cannot draft it the same way you draft your suit sleeve, so this is the best method to do so. Then going back to the smaller end, all you need to do is just curve the line out from 0.5 inches down to the other side of it. I'm so sorry that the camera did not capture the other end of it. The other end of it, I just raised it up by 0.5 inches and then curve it out, just the normal curve. So after that, just move to the elbow and mark half of an inch away from that point, just like that. Then coming to this other end, you do the same thing. Sorry, that is out of point. And on this other side, 0.25, then this other side, 0.252. Then go ahead and connect the ruler to the upper part, that's 0.25 to the upper part of that the armhole depth where it stops, just as you can see, and connect the other side that way from the elbow to the armhole depth, just like that. Repeat the same thing for the smaller part of the sleeve, as you can see, and do the same thing on the other side. Oh, I feel so sorry for that, but I just hope you understand what we're doing there. Then coming to the sleeve length, that is the round sleeve. The round sleeve is 10 inches. So what you do is, we have 17 inches as the entire length. So we now see 17 minus 10 is equals to 7. Then you go ahead and divide it into 2. We have the 3.5. So what you have there is just to subtract 3.5 on both ends, just as you can see. Then connect it down with your curved ruler. Use your hips curve ruler, as you can see, and connect it straight to the elbow line, and do the same thing with the other side. Remember that little line you had, just connect it that way. By doing so, it will give your outfit the ability to bend on its own. After that, the next thing is to add your slit. If you wish to add your sleeve, you may choose to mark 1 inch, 1.5, depending on how you want it to be. 1 inch is okay. You mark it up to about 4 inches or 4.5, whatever the case, but when you are sewing it, it should be at 3 inches. So you just go ahead and mark it, as you can see. That's just my slit allowance. So this is not actually a slit when you are sewing, it is just the slit illusion. So if you want to know how I made it, check the channel, you see a video on this. So after that, the next thing is to check the armhole circumference to be sure. Starting from that point, you're going to measure it all over to this other side to be sure that what you have there corresponds with the other armhole that you marked. So that's what I'm doing. I'm measuring it round, just as you can see, and it gives me precisely what I wanted. Then after that, the next thing is to extend the line down there. Remember, the downside, we did not extend it, so we're simply going to extend it down there. And for the sleeve to come out beautiful, you don't need to allow it to be like that. You're going to create a slant, ½ inch up here and ½ inch down here. Then you go ahead and mark your slant. After marking the slant, I'll repeat the same thing the other side of the sleeve. Half inch down here and half inch up there. Then you go ahead and slant it. By slanting it that way, you are creating a perfect round sleeve. Then before you cut it out, make sure that you extend your 2 inches to be perpendicular to the new round sleeve that you have created. Just as you can see, that's how I do mine, and that's what works for me. So you'll not do anything wrong if you go ahead and add meaning to this fashion of a thing. So this is how I cut it out. Before I cut out the sewing allowance at the round sleeve, I fold it up like this, following my new slanted line, new slanted round sleeve, and I cut it out this way. And by so doing, it gives me a perfect round sleeve. So I'll go ahead and cut it out like this, following the lines that I have drafted it out. So I'll just cut it all together throughout, and this is what I have here. I'll go ahead and trim off anything, any excess that is not needed. I'll trim it off to give me my perfect balanced sleeve. Feel free to use any method that is really good and it's working for you. For me, this is what works for me, especially when it comes to cutting safari suits. Please, if you want to know how I cut my suit sleeve, how I draft it and how I cut it, do well to leave a comment down below. So after cutting it out, all you need to do is to place it on the fabric and cut out exactly the same thing. Cut out the same thing for the lining fabric, and then trim out the lining by 3 inches. If you added 2 inches hemming allowance like mine, then you are good to go. That's what I did here, and this is the outcome. And after sewing everything, I went ahead and fixed it on my safari suit. So check out the channel, you'll see the video, full video. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Thank you for stopping by to watch this video. I would like you to convey your thoughts in writing on the comment section. Do well to share this video to as many people as possible. Like it. I'm sure you must have liked this outcome. Thank you. Bye bye for now. See you in my next video.